Welcome to Dr. Emmet Emery Sr. You Better Stand Your Watch podcast. Before we get started today, I want to give a hearty, blessed congratulations to my youngest daughter, Taylor. She took and passed the medical examination for veterinarian. She got her results back yesterday or the day before yesterday. And now she's a doctor, but she can't wear the doctor title because she got to finish the clinicals and then she got to graduate in May. But she did the tough part. She passed the exam. So now I guess there's another doctor in the family. It comes from the high chief, which is Big Daddy, to the lower chief, which is my baby girl. So that doesn't mean that the other kid's not successful. It's just that they said the master's degree and the bachelor's degree was enough. They didn't want no more education. So today we're going to talk about the impact of forgiveness. Forgiveness is the action or process of forgiving or being forgiven. Psychiatrists generally define forgiveness as conscious, deliberate decision to release feelings of resentment or vengeance toward a person or group who has harmed you, regardless of whether they actually deserve your forgiveness. Forgiveness is a choice, and 60% of Americans, adults, say they need more forgiveness in their personal lives, according to a survey by the nonprofit Fetzer Institute. This number increased to 83% in their communities, 90% in America, and 90% in the world. Very high. Needing more forgiveness. Observational studies listed in the Harvard Health Journal and even some randomized trials suggested that forgiveness is associated with lower levels of depression, anxiety, and hostility. It reduced substance abuse, higher self-esteem, and greater life satisfaction. One systematic review collected data from 15 randomized individual controlled studies that measures the effectiveness of these interventions. The analysis found that forgiveness intervention reduced levels of depression, anger, and hostility, along with improving mood and stress levels. Now, the different areas of forgiveness we're going to talk about. And you already know that my areas I'm going to be talking about, giving great emphasis on throughout this year, is going to be work, spouse, and kids. So we're going to start forgiveness at work. Forgiveness at work, first you got to admit that you are upset. You can't forgive someone if you don't think you did anything wrong. So if you don't think you did anything wrong at the work site, you're going to blame everybody else. So first you need to admit that you are upset. Make the choice to forgive. Forgiveness got to come from you. It can't come from above in the workplace. Your boss can't say, okay, you got to have forgiveness of what happened. Well, if it's not forgiveness in the heart, if not genuine forgiveness, that person's going to feel that. And it's still going to be animosity and separation between you and those individuals in that workplace. Look for the larger context. What's the larger context? The bottom line, or unity in the workplace, or following ethics and policy procedures in the workplace, or just by leading by example, could be the larger context. Get comfortable with the discomfort. That means just let it roll off your back. Just take those shots and keep moving on. If you 80 to 85% of individuals who's gotten to that higher level of leadership, and it doesn't matter what profession it is, have endured a lot of mess, a lot of negativeness, a lot of attacks to get to the level you are. So you allowed yourself to be a shield to a lot of that mess and it rolled off your back. So same thing with forgiveness. Be good to the one who's not good to you. Yes, that's hard in that corporate world or in the workforce in general. Because I've known some leaders on that top level who was handshaking, high-fiving, in a good mood, and laughing and joking with the individuals that they did not like or want to forgive. How they get them back? They didn't get them back in the open. They didn't get them back by attacking them personally. They got them back through evaluations. They got them back by not allowing them to advance. So they hit them what hurt the most in the workforce, in the pocket, and the financial part. That financial part could have been assisting to a vehicle, could be assisting to the home, could be assisting to the household in general, could be assisting the person to sustain in life. And without any remorse, they'll take it away. Next, talk about forgiveness to your kids. I said forgiveness to your kids. We're going to break the kids into kids, and then we're going to break them into preteens and teens, and then the young adults, and then we're going to move on from there. First, forgiveness to your kids. Model forgiveness with the family, within the family. Be the example. I mean, you guys set it from, if you're a single parent, you set it from the tone of that household. If you're a household with two parents, you set it from the tone of the father. And you got to show forgiveness in that household. And you show it to the kids, and the kids understand that they have to forgive. You know, the toughest thing in any household is not training the kids to forgive. The toughest thing in any household with the kids is training their kids to share. Because some kids don't like to share. I mean, you can share what you have, or have the other kids share what they have with the kids, but some kids just refuse to share. So that's the toughest thing. But you got to, in the household, explain what forgiveness is to them kids. How you do that? You support your young kids' capacity to respond to their strong emotions. When they get really upset and aggressive, and you respond to that. You don't respond in a negative way. And you don't respond in a positive stroking way. You respond in the teaching, knowledgeable way. Hey, wait a minute. Stop. Take your time. Listen to what I say. Follow what I do. Look at me, eye contact. So you calming them down. Now you taking control, and you supporting your kids' capacity to respond to their strong emotion. Then they'll come down. But if you don't, and if they throwing things, you let it happen. You walk away and let it go, and you say, oh, they'll die down. 9 times out of 10, it's going to happen again and again and again and again. It's like going to a department store, and you walking down the aisle, and then all of a sudden someone's child get real upset because they can't get anything. They screaming, and then they throwing stuff throughout the aisle, and then they just roll around on the floor and start crying. And then that parent walk away and leave that child there crying. I mean, in front of everyone. But they walk away. I mean, you're not addressing that person with a strong suit at. A strong suit. At that time, it's anger, frustration. No, talk to them. Don't wait till you get home, because when you get home and talk to them, they're going to be obedient at home. You need to address them at that site where they're having these difficulties at. And why do they do it? You got to figure out why they do it. And then you got to bring that to their attention and then stop it. Discuss how people often hate things by accident. A lot of people hate because of their nature. There's some grouchy, evil people. Don't tell it to your kids, though. A lot of people just like that. You know, you got to even have that face, that look face, and the kid be like, no, not approachable. So you got to explain to your kids that, hey, they don't mean anything by that. That's accident. Don't tell them their face look like that because of accident birth. Don't do that. Don't do that. Just tell them it was an accident. They might be having a bad day. That things that's not going right for them. But explain that to your kids, that it was the hateful things, an accident. Daddy yelling at mommy, oh, that hateful things he said was accident. Mommy yelling at daddy, oh, the hateful things that she said was accident. It really didn't mean it. But if it's happening every night, 5 times a week, 3 times a day, those are not accidents. Those are issues. And that household, the parents either need to sit down with each other and communicate, or they need to seek therapy. And we're gonna get into that part when I talk about the spouses and forgiveness. Next, teach kids that forgiveness is not at odds with fairness. You hear a child say, that's not fair. He had it the first time. That's not fair. She sat in the front seat the last time. So they hit him. Say, I'm sorry. Okay, sorry to a kid is a form of forgiveness. And you got to explain to them it's not about fairness. It's about what mommy and daddy said. Mommy and daddy said that child sit in the front seat. Mommy and daddy said that child get that this time. Mommy and daddy said you take turns. So it's not about fairness. It's about the discipline that mommy and daddy is putting in place. Explain forgiveness through storytelling. Do storytelling. Give them an example. Your grandparents going to have stories because grandparents live for a while. I'm always telling stories to my grandkids. Hell, I even tell stories to my kids like, I didn't know that. Well, you weren't paying attention. If you were paying attention, you would have known that. All of a sudden, I tell the story, and you're like, well, that's different. What do you mean different? You was a part of that story back then. You was the main character. Storytelling with your kids. It shouldn't just be storytelling at school. It shouldn't be just storytelling at the center, the aftercare center. You storytell with your kids, explaining life through storytelling. Explain that when people forgive, they are kind to those who are not kind to them. Tell them that when you forgive someone, you treat them with respect and you be happy and cordial with them. You don't be mean. You don't be negative. You don't be a bully to them. Tell them you still be nice to them. Actually, your child should be nice to everyone. But you also train them to be able to observe and identify things that's not right or people who are not right. You still got to do that with them, but you still train your child to be nice, not evil. Because I know back in Chicago, in my neighborhood, when I joined the military and I came back for the last time, once you leave and come back, you're not allowed to be back in anymore. I don't know if that's a ritual or what, but I came back. And I came back like an idiot in my sailor uniform. A big mistake. But one of my friends was sitting down talking to one of the neighbors, and a little 3-year-old walked up to him and slapped him in the face and said, "What you gonna do, you little B?" I said, "That 3-year-old just said that to you?" He said, "Yeah." I look at him and said, "So what you gonna do?" No, it's late. Next, we're gonna talk about forgiveness to your preteens and teenagers. Forgiveness to preteens and teenagers from parents is an important social and emotional issue during the adolescent years. Adolescents turn to the peers for security, attachment, and approval. All preteens and teens do that. I did it too. It's like you don't trust your parents. Even if your teenager said that I trust you, I believe in you, well, they're going to go to that peer that's equal to them first because they trust them a little bit more. Do they trust them for their safety? Probably not. They trust their parents for their safety? Yes. But do they trust that their peers are going to say yes to what they're doing? Yes. Do they trust that their peers are going to agree to what they're doing? Yes, unless you have them real strong friends and then one friend actually tell you how it is and how it should be. And that's during your adolescent and preteens years, both of them individuals, your peers, is just yes people. Yes, because they all want to do it. It's all about being active, playing, and being rebellious. They don't think they're rebellious. They just figure they're doing what they want to do. How they put it, I should be able to live my own life. I think I should sit down and ask my kids, what do you mean by that when you was 12, 13, and 14, you live your own life? Because right, you said that you came begging for money to go shop, but then you live in my life. They may reflect on their own and others' ideas, feelings, and experience and discuss whether forgiveness is important. Having supportive teenage friendship is important for future parenting. But I'm going to say this because I always say this. When that child reaches 21, you're no longer parenting. You're no longer training and developing that child. They're adults when they reach 21. When that child reaches 21, age 21, I'm not saying 18, 19, 20. I said 21, because in America, 21 considered adult, full adult. I mean, you can buy liquor, you can do things at 21. Then you become a mentor to that child. You become a parent to that child in a form where you're there to guide and direct them through good issues. You're there to support them through the bad issues. You're there to lift them up when they fall. You're there to be a support mechanism for them. But you're not raising them anymore. They already been raised. You just got to trust in the base that you present them while they're coming up, maturing into their age. Because when they reach 21, everything is a challenge. They're going to challenge you every step of the way. Why? because they're adults. They're in a different realm. They're no longer in the mommy and daddy is going to tell me what to do with my life thing. I mean, back in when my kids was young, I treated my kids the same way my mom treated me in some of the things involving the household. So my mom used to be sitting on the couch and she didn't want to go in the kitchen to get something to drink. So she'd tell me, go in the kitchen and get me a glass of water and make sure you put some ice in it. So I would sit down. One time I was sitting down on the couch and I didn't feel like going in the kitchen to get the Kool-Aid. I told my son, hey, go in the kitchen and give me some Kool-Aid. He said, why? What's wrong with your legs? Whoa, brother man just put his legs off the table, put them on the floor. By the time that left foot hit, the right foot hit first. By the time the left foot hit, I had the Kool-Aid on the table. But he don't remember any of that. Some he do, but some he don't. Forgiveness has 5 major social and emotional issues that teens deal with during their adolescent years. According to Pat Tanner Nelson, educated doctor in the education department. Number 1, we all went through it. I went through it, and I'm sure if you're a parent, you went through it, and if you're over 21, you went through it as a teen. And number 1 is establishing an identity. This has been called one of the most important tasks of adolescence. The question of who I am is one of the things that teens thinks about at a conscious level. They're not sitting back thinking about who I am. They think about who I want to be or what should I be doing, not who I am. They do not self-identify themselves. They let others identify them. And then they focus on the things they want to do or who they think they should be. They emulate superstars, they emulate actors, they emulate others. And then you got some kids that emulate their parents. They think it's cool to be doing the things that their parents do, whether it's positive or negative. And then there's some kids that just want to emulate their peers. But they're not looking at who they are because they don't have that identity yet. They're trying to establish an identity. Second, establishing autonomy. No, you said establishing autonomy. Why do you want to establish autonomy? Well, it does not mean becoming completely independent from others or rebellious. It means becoming an independent and self-governing person when it involves the teens. So now they're trying to figure out, how do I become independent? First step for me to become independent is to tell my parents I'm independent. Is to tell my parents I'm grown at 13. To tell my parents I'm grown at 17. That's the first step in becoming independent. Next step, becoming independent, I want to hang out with my friends. If my friends stay out to 10 tonight, I want to stay out to 10. My parents going to parties, I want to go to parties. I'm independent, self-governing person. That means that what's theirs is theirs. And what's yours as a parent is theirs too. This is not similar to spouse. What's mine is mine, what's yours is yours. And then we come to equal balance. No, with kids, what's yours is mine, and what's mine is mine. And there's no debate about it. Next, establishing intimacy. Do not equate intimacy with sex with the preteens and the teenagers. Intimacy is the different levels, and it's not that with the preteens and the teens. Some, yeah, it is. Inner city, some, yeah, it is. In the country, yeah, some, it is. Different podcasts. In fact, intimacy and sex are not the same for preteens and teenagers as is with adults. It is with friends that teens learn how to begin, maintain, and terminate relationships. They go through this with friends. Intimacy with them as teens is my best friend, my close friend. I love my best friend. I love my close friend. We do things together. We do dress up together. We go shopping together. We do makeup together. We go out and buy sneakers together. We play athletic sports together. That's my Ace Boomy. That's my best friend. I mean, we best friends. Where you see one, you see the other. That's the intimacy part for preteens and teens. It is with friends that teens learn how to begin, maintain, and terminate relationship, practice social skills, and become intimate. Next, becoming comfortable with one's sexuality. The teen years mark the first time that young people are both physically mature enough to produce and cognitively advanced enough to think about it. Nearly half of high school seniors report being sexually active at their senior year. They won't tell you what year were they active, were they freshman, were they sophomore, were they junior. But you talk to them the senior year, they have been sexually active. So that's where the part about parents talking to their kids about sex. Some religions don't do it. Some parents won't do it. Some individuals won't do it. Kids learn about it outside the household. It could be various reasons why they don't learn in the household. Maybe the parents too busy to talk about it, or maybe it's just not something that they feel is of importance. So the kids learn about it outside the household. The protection part and all that and the diseases and things like that, they leave it up to the schools to teach them. When I was being raised up in elementary and even high school, we had sex education classes. We talked about protection. We talked about the diseases. We talked about childbirth and things of that nature. They even showed movies back then of actual childbirth. So we taught the teachers about that. No, I'm just playing. But we knew about that. Did it change anything as far as that individual and their mindset? For some, yes, because you already had that pre-information. So you didn't have to wonder about things or experiment about things. You always had the permissive individuals that wanted to do that, wanted to try it for once. Back then, you had a lot of kids, male and females, keeping their virginity until they was married. I haven't heard about that in years. Individual keeping their virginity until they marry. I haven't seen it on TV. You see more sex stuff on TV than anything. You see it on the internet. You see the dancing with the bouncing of the booty and everything else on TikTok and YouTube. So enhancing the sexuality part more than anything. It's more of an advertisement, more of an enhancement. But back then, you had the things in place to teach the kids. But now you got a lot of parents saying, I don't want my child learning that. You ain't got to teach my child that. I teach my child that on my own. And then you got some parents that single parents that have, if it's a male is a single parent with the kids, you got women walking in and out the house, back and forth in the bedroom, sleeping overnight. There's a female doing the same thing, man walking in and out the house, back and forth through the bedroom, sleeping overnight. But you don't want to teach them about prevention. You want to teach them about sex. You're teaching them about what the wrong thing of doing is to, basically you're encouraging it. Well, that sex education is a different topic. We can talk about that. Last, achievement. Teens need to figure out what they want to achieve. They need to figure it out. You can throw things at them. Oh, I think you should be a lawyer. Oh, you look like a doctor. Oh, you're a professor. They have a field of engineering that is wide open. Oh, you can be. This is what gets me. When parents tell their kids, you can be an athlete. You ever been involved, and my kids were all involved in sports. You ever went to a game and then you joined one of them YMCA leagues or one of them Power District leagues and where all the kids have to play? And then your kid get out there and play, they do well and do so good, and then the other parent yelling, they scoring too many points, sit them down, put my child in. Your child on that bench for a reason. Your child not in that game for a reason. Everybody get a trophy. They yelling, everybody get a trophy. I paid my fee. I be sitting back thinking, why did you pay your fee? That kid don't know what they're doing. They get out there on the court, and one kid got their shoes on the wrong feet. I said, you got to be kidding me. The parent said, go ahead, little Johnny, take that shot. He got to have the ball first. You don't even know the game. That's why they don't know how to play. My son played pee-wee football. He had never played a sport before. He said, Dad, what I do? I said, when you get the ball, I said, you run. Just run. I said, you run like a slave owner trying to catch you. He said, Dad, what's that? I said, oh, damn, that's why he didn't know that. I said, you just run like I'm coming after you with a belt. He said, okay, I can do that. He got the ball and boom. 3 straight times on offense, touchdown. He got the 4th time, they put everybody on the line. This little sucker knocked the first 2 people down, boom, touchdown. They said he can't play no more. He got to sit down. Other kids got to get a chance to play. Can nobody tackle him? I said, who fault is that? I said, why don't you take all 22 kids on the other side and put them on the field? So don't stop him from playing. His teammates want him to play. So he didn't play the entire third and fourth quarter. He was upset. So what they do, they give him MVP. They really didn't have no choice. They gave him MVP. And he played that sport until he got into high school, and he had to make a decision if you want to play basketball or football. I think the difference was his senior year, he got hit and broke his ankle in 3 places. And it didn't really get back to the form it should have, and he didn't want to take the hits. He was a running back. He didn't want to take the hits from the running back. And he had scholarship in both football and basketball, so he chose basketball. So next, parents be aware that young adults, kids may experience forgiveness in different ways, not like the teens and the preteens. Some may forgive due to external pressure from their communities, boyfriends, or girlfriends. I mean, when they're young adults, you can't tell them that young boy is bad news, she's not good for you. You can't tell them, no, that girl is not good for you. You can do better. You can't do that. Why? You're only pushing them to that individual. These things they got to find out on their own. Just like you had to find out on your own when you was a young adult. Some of you probably didn't. While others may come to understand forgiveness as an unconditional act of kindness toward an offender. That there is, to me, personally, that there is more an individual in an abusive relationship or being abused or being bullied. They forgive them and accept it as an offender, and they try to, what I mean by that, they try to do things not to make that person mad or do things not to bring attention to themselves so that person sees them. So they pretty much forgive that person just about every time. All the person can do is show kindness toward them, and show genuineness towards them, and they forgive them. But it doesn't stop what's going on. Next, to forgive your spouse. First of all, spouses, forgiveness is not accepting what someone did to you as being okay just because they tell you they are sorry. You don't have to accept that because they say they're sorry. You know if the offense is too severe for I'm sorry. You know if the offense is a repeated offense. So you don't have to accept it just because someone said they're sorry. Next, forgetting that the wrong ever happened in the first place. Always say this. You can forgive, but never forget. I can forgive what happened to me when I grew up, the things that happened in the neighborhood, things happen with other kids, but I never forget. Because in that way, I never forget where I came from because I always have that motivator to keep me going forward. You can forgive some of the things that were said and targeted towards you, towards your siblings when you was younger, but you never forget. Because you never forget, which means that with your kids, you'll make sure your kids doesn't do the same thing. So when they even start materializing between your kids, you'll stop it because you know what it felt like when it happened to you because you didn't forget, but you forgave. Forgetting about how you felt about what happened. You can't forget how you felt about what happened. If you hurt and deeply hurt, you're not going to forgive anyway for a while. That stays with you. Even if you forgive, it's going to be little things, little things that come up and you regress back to what happened. I mean, you forgive, but you don't forget. And you forgive, don't forget on that aspect because you don't forget the feeling. And then when little things happen or you think things will happen again, you get that feeling. And that feeling of hurt. And then either you retaliate with anger or you retaliate by pulling away. So sometimes it's just probably just good to just individuals to go their own separate ways. Because if that's embedded in a relationship, that means it's not going to go away. I don't care if you talk to someone, if you express your feelings or whatever with each other. That's a tarnish on the heart. And if your heart is tarnished and is very painful to you, it comes up through certain things, certain events. Allow the person who wronged you back into your life. It's on you. It's like I said, it depends on severity. Everyone deserves a second chance. I do agree with that. Some things that happen is truly mistakes. Some things that happen sometimes is forced upon an individual and through their unwillingness, or some things is just done through mere idiocy by the individual. So it's up to you to accept it back into your life. You know how severe it was. If it's severe to the point where you know it's not going to change, you know the individual's not going to change, then you're not going to let that person back in your life. If you got kids, you're not going to let that person back because you don't want the kids to see what was going on. You want the kids to see that you're showing weakness to something that happened, especially if the kids know what happened. Forgiveness is a conscious, deliberate decision to let go of resentment or vengeance toward a person or group who harm you. Forgiveness is not forgetting or condoning as excusing offenses. It is what we do for ourselves to get well and move on. Forgiveness sometimes is for you. You need to forgive to make yourself get better, to clear your head, to come out of depression, to be uplifted, to move on. Just remember, and this go way back, this saying go way back. Someone's trash is someone else's treasure. If someone throw you away, someone else gonna find you. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. You learn from your experiences, then you let go. But remember this, vengeance is mine, said the Lord. So if it's that deep rootedness in you to forgive, don't forget, and you want to torture and just tie the individual up and continue to whoop their butt, male or female, then that's wrong. You give it to the Lord and you walk away. And let God take care of that individual. If that individual doesn't change their ways, they're not going to be accepted by anyone. It doesn't matter. If you and that individual it was just a moment for the both of you, and then you go your separate ways and you both live successful lives, that means you was just there to learn from each other. Or you both just jumped in real quick and made mistakes, or you both just grew and developed apart. Forgiveness is up to the individual. Anyone who tells you that you need to forgive someone, or that you need to do it within a certain period of time, is just plain wrong. No one can tell you when you need to forgive. No one can tell you how long you should wait before you forgive. It's been 5 days. You've been to go ahead and forgive that man. It's been a month. You need to go ahead and forgive that woman. You know, if you don't forgive them within a week, they may not be there. So they're going to put a time limit on how long you should wait before you forgive someone. Forgiveness is within you. If it takes you a month to forgive, it takes you a month to forgive. If it takes you 2 hours to forgive, it takes you 2 hours to forgive. And then you need to go and seek help, because you should not be forgiven in that short period of time. You might have to spend the time to communicate with the other person, to talk. You might take the time to just have that separation to get yourself together. Remember, forgiveness is for you too, more than the other person. And then you get to see things through clear lens, not through the foggy lens, from everything that's happened to you, from the depression, from the stress, from the crying, from the soggy eyes, from the heartbreak. You give yourself time, all that clears up, then you can really see that individual for that individual. You can really see what happened. You can really see everyone that was involved with that particular event. And you can see if that individual was framed or not. Or you can just see if that individual was just straight up bow wow. You do not have to forgive someone. You don't have to forgive them. It's totally up to you. You can just live with that. Or you just not communicate with anyone. Like I said, in my last podcast, I learned that word, I killed off my family members. So when you kill someone off, that means that you didn't forgive them. There's no forgiveness in your heart whatsoever for those individuals, because what was done, or what was said, was so painful, was so bad, was so wrong, that you can't see past it. But they're going to eat you up. They're going to tear you up. It's a lot of people that I don't talk to. I didn't kill them off, because at some point in time we might talk again. But I don't communicate with them. But I forgave them. So forgiveness was in my heart. I forgave them. And if I see them to this day, I'm going to speak to them. Hi, how you doing? I'm not going to hang out, because my heart is not there. Neither is my mind. But I'm going to show you respect as long as you show me respect. Spouses, how do you prepare yourself to forgive? Once you feel ready to forgive, you can take a few additional steps to make sure you're ready. Talk your feelings through with the individual. You will want to make sure that you can put your feelings about what happened into words. This requires you to first embrace those feelings, even the unwanted ones. Talk to someone you trust about them. Someone you trust. Don't talk to a gossiper. Don't talk to the one you know who got loose lips. Loose lips sink ships. No. You may not know where a ship is. You may not be close to a ship. No, loose lip, get your ass whooped. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know if I should say that or not. But we know that. You're gonna handle that person if they got loose lips. But don't even talk to them in the first place. You know they got loose lips. Talk to someone you know you can confide in, and that stays between you and them. You got some females, you got some males, they got some best friends that you can say whatever you want to try to get information out of them. They will not say it. They would not go past their boy. They would not go past their girl. They would not say anything. They would keep their mouth shut to the point they won't even open their mouth. You won't get anything out of them. That's who you communicate with. Forgive smaller things first. Forget the small things. Forgive the small things first. And then you go to the big things. That's why I said it takes time, depending on severity of what the forgiveness is for. So you forgive the small things first. Let's go through these steps first before we get to the big one. And then we get to the big one. If I feel that from the small ones, I didn't build my confidence back up, I didn't build my trust back up, then we can agree to the big one to get back together. But if you haven't got past the small thing, you haven't proven to me that you have gotten past the small things, then I'm not going to go towards the big thing. I'm not going to waste my time. So you take care of forgive the small things first. Practice self-compassion instead of giving yourself a hard time. Practice it. Because you're not going to do it right away. Forgive yourself. It is important to consider whether self-blame may be getting in the way of your ability to forgive. Remember, someone else's decision to hurt you is never your fault. So many people blame themselves. What did I do wrong? What did I do to cause this? What did I do for that individual to do what they did to me? Don't put blame on yourself. You didn't do it. You the one forgiving the individual who shamed you, who did bad to you. You the one doing forgiveness. So you're not the bad person. If you don't forgive that person because you don't want to forget that person say you evil person, to that person. You're not the bad person. Remember, if you have trouble forgiving yourself, particularly for circumstances where you did nothing wrong, then it's time to talk to a therapist. You need to talk to someone because you're blaming yourself. Next, write a letter or a text. If you prefer to avoid face-to-face contact with someone you have forgiven, writing a letter may offer a safer way to express your feelings. Also, writing a letter or a text, nobody write letters anymore. I missed that. Why the postman getting paid so much? He ain't delivering letters anymore. That's a different podcast. But send them a text. So many people break up today by text messages. And then the person turn around and block them. So they don't know if they responded back or not. So send a text. If you don't want to see the person face to face. If you don't want to see them anymore after that. Work toward your own happiness. It becomes about you. Some people are not capable of recognizing when they cause pain to other individual because they're selfish, inconsiderate. They don't see the pain that they cause to you. They can care less about the pain they cause to you. But if you cause pains to him or her, you never forget. You never forget it. That person never stopped talking about it. You did this, you did this, you did this, you did. Not seeing what they did to you. Others do not see their mistake or simply do not care. You may never get an explanation or apology for certain people. It's people today, I never got an explanation on why they did the things to hurt me, and I never got an apology. So, and they still to this day don't understand when I'm around them, why I turn around and I bend over like I'm trying to tie my shoe. I'm telling you to kiss almost said it. Woo! Almost said it. It must be the turtleneck. Let me keep going. 2 types of forgiveness appear in the Christian Bible. God's pardon of our sins and an obligation to pardon others. Forgiveness by God. Humankind has a sinful nature. Adam and Eve disobeyed God in the Garden of Eden, and humans have been sinning against God ever since. God loves us too much to let us destroy ourselves in hell. He provided a way for us to be forgiven, and let us destroy ourselves in hell. He provided a way for us to be forgiven, and that way is through Jesus Christ. Jesus confirmed that clearly when he said, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. John 14:6. Forgiveness of others in the Christian Bible. The Christian Bible states that when someone hurts us, we are under an obligation to God to forgive that person. Jesus is very clear on this point. Matthew 6:14-15. For if you forgive other people when they sin against your heavenly Father, will also forgive you. However, if you do not forgive others their sins, your Father will not forgive your sins. That was from the NIV version. The Quran teaches that forgiveness is a divine attribute, and including it helps to nurture the part of us that comes from the divine. Forgiveness teaches a person patience and makes the person better for it, stronger and more steadfast in their goals. The Quran makes a connection between forgiveness on our part and our need for God's forgiveness. Allah says in the Quran, whoever is patient and forgives, verily, that is among the matters of steadfast determination. The Quran uses 3 names to describe God's forgiving nature: the one who forgives, the all-forgiving, and the oft-forgiving. Forgiveness in Buddhist content means differentiating the person from the art, whether someone else or ourselves, not getting angry or being cruel towards them or ourselves, feeling compassion with the wish that they or we be free of whatever caused us to act destructively or to make a mistake. Hinduism. In Hinduism, forgiveness is a critical virtue. It promotes peace, spiritual growth, and harmony in society. The Bhagavad Gita teaches that those who forgive are dear to God. Forgiveness and patience are essential for spiritual development and personal growth, fostering inner peace and relentlessness. Balaramas act towards the Kauravas exemplifies forgiveness and reconciliation after conflict. So I thank you today on the topic of forgiveness. Once again, I congratulate my daughter and also my future daughter-in-law, Ellie, on them passing the exam for veterinarian. They're going to have a very important job once they relocate. They relocate to Florida. So I thank you, and I appreciate you. Until we meet again, goodbye, and God bless.